Shalom, beloved family. It's your girl, Sophia Spiritualite, and we're here with another research lesson. This is probably the most frightening research lesson I've ever done. I really wanted someone else to cover the Trinosophia. I didn't. I begged the Most High, please do not let it be me. Let it be anyone else. But I read something in the Druid book, um, that Big Judah brought out that I knew. Um, I just had to elaborate and elucidate on it because I know that it's one of those things that if you are not a haven't studied any anthroposophy, it would go right over your head and you would completely miss it. So we're gonna talk some anthroposophy, which is um, uh, the love of wisdom, the study of wisdom. With Anthroposophia, which is the goddess of wisdom, we're going to bring it into a book that I have shown you all before, but I've never seen anybody on, I've never seen anyone else even discuss. I'm sure they haven't read it. It's a very difficult book to read. I didn't even want to bring any of the actual stuff out of the book, like paragraphs and highlights and stuff like that, because it is not the kind of book that you approach any kind of way, and this is not the type of a subject that you approach any type of way. So I'm hoping that I'm asking the Holy Sophia to help me bring this information out in the best possible way, connected to stuff that we're already researching, already studying, and hopefully it will be something that you can understand, overstand, and understand. All right, so of course this is the book Druidism. Yeah, I always forget to get the front covers of the book, but again, this is the book that Big Judah talked about a few weeks ago. You can find it on archive.org. If anybody wants to link to it, obviously send me an email. I'm not going to link to it here on this in these people's site because I don't want them to pull the book. So but you can find it on archive.org. Okay, so this is about the religious or the cosmology of the Druids, basically. So a state of eternal punishment is in itself impossible, and the infliction of such punishment is the only act which the deity cannot commit. This is what the Druids believed. Okay, however, the punishment of the wicked after death might be canceled or loosened by sacrifices to the supreme deity, and so they offered up a black sheep. Okay, so next set of highlights. The Druids believe in three circles of existence: the circle of infinity, which was only traversed by God; the circle of felicity, some called something I can't pronounce, or happiness, through which men have to travel after they have passed through their terrestrial ages; and the circle of abred, or evil, in which humans pass in their varying states of existence. Okay. All right, top of the page. The moral force of the whole country was in the hands of the Druid priests, accountable to no other superior human power. Nobody was more powerful in a country than the Druids. Okay. Next paragraph. Saint Augustine declared that the philosophy of almost approached that of Christian monotheism. Their studies embraced those elevated objects which had engaged the attention of the whole world: the nature of the deity, the nature of the human soul, the future state, the heavenly bodies, the terrestrial globe, and its various productions. Next, their intelligence continually cultivated by study. So these were not people who learned one thing out of one book and that was it. They were continually studying, and not just studying books, but studying the environment around them, which means they were also continually experimenting, because you can't study and learn anything without actually doing something. Okay. Next set of highlights about the ceremonies. Their ceremonies of their religion were performed with a solemnity that deeply affected the spectator, and it said that even the Romans stood astonished and trembled. Next, no idol or graven image has ever been discovered among Druid remains. The Druids did not worship graven images, okay? They acknowledged one God, the maker of all things and the Lord of all the earth. They taught the superintendency of divine providence, moral responsibility, and recompense after death. All right, next page. The Druids were of, so this is page 56. Okay, this is the next page. The Druids were of, wait a minute, let me see. At the bottom, although the memoirs of our Druids are extremely short, yet we can evidently discover them from that the Druids were of Abraham's religion entirely, worship the supreme being in the same manner that he did, and probably according to his example or the example of his and their common ancestors. Next, the creation of the world, formation of man, his primitive innocence and felicity, and his fall into guilt and misery. The creation of the angels, the rebellion, expulsion from heaven, the universal deluge, the divergence from those teachings contained in the writings of Moses and other parts of the final salvation of humanity. I'm sorry. There was no great divergence from those teachings contained in the writings of Moses and other parts of Jewish scriptures. Pause. So what the Druids were studying is the same as the Torah, which tells me they also used the tarot because that's how the Torah was communicated. So these people were studying the same thing. There is no difference between the Moses, the writings of Moses, and other parts of Jewish scriptures. Also tells me that they use the astrology. So they use the Urim and Thummim. It wasn't actually described at all because they probably kept that extremely secret, close to the vest. All right. Next, rites of prayer. Their worship consisted in rites of sacrifice, prayer, and praise. Sermons appear generally to have been absent from their services. This is why they had to get rid of these people because in order for the Roman Catholics, uh, the papacy to rule, they had to tell you what to think. And there's no description of the Druids telling anybody what to think. They talk about what they think, they talk about how they worship. They talk about their experience, but they never telling people you have to think this, you have to worship this God, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's not a part of their religion at all whatsoever. So I just wanted to point that out, and I'm sure there's more information about that, right? So next highlighting. Um its design was to enlighten the understanding, promote harmony, and encourage virtue. That was it. All right, so next page. Now, take a look at this circle. Let me read this triad first. This is their triad. Every person there is a soul. In every soul there is intelligence. In every intelligence there is thought. In every thought there is good and evil. In every evil there is death. In every good there is life. In every life there is God. So, um I'm going to read this next one too. Let God be praised in the beginning and the end. Who supplicates him, he will neither despise nor refuse. May God above us, God before us, God possessing all things. May the Father of heaven grant us a portion of mercy. I'm probably going to add that into my daily prayer. Don't really be surprised when that shows up because that is beautiful. But look at this circle. It's a wheel within a wheel within a wheel. This is a shocking a diagram to me. So now we're going to go into the anthroposophy a bit, and so just relax your brain a little bit. It's not as bad as you think. And if anyone has ever listened to an anthroposophist, they uh, anthroposophy is very difficult to explain. It's very difficult to discuss, and so we're going to do the best we can right here. Okay. No, we're not. We got a couple more um parts to go first, but I'm going to pause here and pick it back up after I charge my headset. Shalom, beloved family. All right, so sorry I had to take a brief interlude right there, but let's keep reading. I've last was talking about the wheel within the wheel within the wheel. Now let's talk about this real quick, and then we're going to get into the anthroposophy. So the two great lights of heaven were no of were of no little importance in these rites and ceremonies. The sun was a symbol of the superior god who, because he was the great source of light and the ruler of the day, the mild sovereign of the night typified the supreme goddess Saridwin, in whose sacred cauldron were involved all mysteries of this religion. The the mother was a supreme goddess in whose sacred cauldron were involved all the mysteries of this religion. All the mysteries of this religion of Druidism were female. That is no small sentence, and I don't think people understand what that means, but I'm getting ready to tell you. So, um, they have okay, the hymns. This is the next line. These hymns were called by the name Trigaranos or the triple crane. Next line, the triple crane, that'll come up again. Um, well, not that, but the concept of the triple will come up. The Druids considered nature in her largest extent, in her systems, in her motions, in her magnitude and powers, in all which they seem to kabbalize. And kabbalize means deify, right? Their philosophy was so comprehensive as to take in with the theory of nature, astronomy, geometry, medicine, and natural magic, and all this upon the Larian hypothesis, which I don't know what that means exactly, but I probably should have looked it up. Anyway, next line. They were very studious of the virtues of plants and herbs and were exceedingly partial to vervain, which they used in casting lots and foretelling events. So that's the Druid part. So just a short recap. They believe in one God, monotheistic, but they have this divine goddess in which all of their mysteries reside. So their mysteries were not the mysteries of the Most High. The mysteries were the sacred mysteries were the mysteries of the goddess. Okay, and so okay, so I think we've gone through that. All right, so now here is a screenshot of a lesson regarding the group soul, and this is from anthroposophist that I follow, and he's on YouTube. I'm gonna tag him in there. His name is Douglas Gabriel, and very good friends with these people, internet friends, of course, and I wanted to point this out for a few reasons. I'm just going to go through it. Now, I cannot explain this the way that he does. I simply cannot. But what I can do is try to link it to stuff that we are studying now so that it may make a little bit more sense. So, this is the concept of the group soul to the life spirit. So, the group soul in the middle, starting in the middle, con- consists of the mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, and then the human. These are the group souls. And your three egos, which is down there in the corner, or it's right underneath it, is your willing, which is your physical aspect, your feeling, which is your etheric aspect, and your thinking, which is your astral aspect. Okay, so these three egos that I just mentioned, the spirit man, then you have the life spirit, and then you have the spirit self. Um, this is your own personal version of this circle that they believed in, and with your astral, your thinking being on the outside, your feeling being on the middle circle, and your willing being your physical circle. As it also relates to Druidism, this would also be where is it? Here we go. The circle of infinity, which is the astral, the circle of felicity, which would be your ethereal, and then your circle of evil, which would be your willing, your the lowest one. And then they had something else. That wasn't it. Okay. Um, okay, well, I'll come back to it once I remember what it is. So also, all right. So I cannot go through all the stuff on this chart. I just wanted to point those things out. The group soul, um, the group soul is the zodiac. I I hate to make a statement like that without being able to to give you any further understanding. But if you look up in that top corner, he has group soul, then he has man, which is Aquarius, which is ego, then he has eagle, or and also water. Uh, well, Aquarius is not water. It is, but something is missing. Okay, you have man, which is Aquarius, which is ego. I think he meant that is Aries, not Aquarius. I will ask for sure about that. Then you have the eagle, which is Scorpio, because no, we haven't gotten to this yet. Nobody has talked about it, but before was Scorpio, meaning all the books in the 1800s. This must have been 1700 books or 1600 books from the 1600s. The Scorpio was a eagle. It wasn't um a, an aquatic animal, I guess. Which is your thinking. The lion, which is Leo, which is also fire, which is feeling, and the bull, which is Taurus, which is also earth, which is willing. Okay, and so as long as you are servant to that um sort of operations in your ego, your thinking, feeling, and willing, you're subject to the zodiac. And so on the other side, you have the individual I am, the group soul. The individual I am is first he has Ezekiel's vision, which is a zodiac creator, meaning instead of being on someone else's zodiac, you are the creator of zodiacs for others. Okay, and I don't know what the four fix. The four fix sign, instead of being stuck with these four fix, which is or uh Aries, Scorpio, Leo, and Taurus, or Earth, Wind, Fire, and Water, you're able to equate yourself with all 12 of the zodiac signs, right? And then you go from the three egos, which is your thinking, feeling, and willing, or the true ego, spirit man, life spirit, and spirit self, to a Christ like ego with the actual mind of Christ, which we discussed when we read, my lesson on covenants and, yeah, I can't remember the other word, but you know what I'm talking about. One of my other lessons, my lesson on covenants. Um, and so I'm not going to get into the rest of this because I feel like this lesson is already uh edging on too long and I haven't even got to the main course, which is the Trinosophia. Okay, so there's this book, Tyler Gabriel, that is Douglas's wife, lovely woman. She wrote this book, and it is a synthesis of the works of that have been presented that they were able to find about that discuss the earthly mother, the Holy Sophia, the Holy Spirit, Pisces Sophia, all that stuff. It's a synthesis of all of those books and the stuff of Rudolf Steiner, which he wrote extremely extensively of of the Holy Mother, of the Holy Sophia, right? Because Anthroposophia is literally a being, and it's the anthroposophists are the studying of the being of Sophia. These new anthroposophists obviously are not, that's been quite corrupted as well, but there are some who still study Sophia. And so the one thing you have to know about the Holy Sophia is that she's not in a book. You're not going to find her in a book. There's no one who can tell you about the Holy Sophia. This is just a synthesis of research. This is not going to tell you how to develop a relationship with the earthly mother angels. Absolutely not. And so and to suggest that the mother anything about her can really be put in a book is disgusting and disturbing, because that's not how the mother works at all. You have to experience her, you have to seek her, and you have to experience her, and you have to follow her where she leads you on the path. And whatever she leads you to, you have to just go there and have that experience. And that is not something that you could easily understand. You can't easily quantify it. You can't easily do it. It's a very difficult thing to go through. So to say that you have to have some kind of, special permission before you approach the earthly mother and her angels is ridiculous. Similarly, the way that they portray the Erkadeshi in the books of remembrance is sort of problematic for me if you understand how the earthly mother works. I just realized that the earthly mother angels were the Erkadeshi when I first got into this particular avenue of research within this whatever collective that we have on this side. But I was already well aware of the spirits of the nature and whatever. But now I know the names, which is actually helpful for me because I like to address people by their name, even if it's not the right name, it's the name that they would recognize. And I personally like to address people by the name that they would recognize. So, again, this is the Gospel of Sophia book. You can download this book for absolutely free. It's on ourspirit.net. You can order a physical copy of it. It's on Amazon. It is definitely a book you should have. It's not a book you're going to sit down and read in one sitting. It's a very, very complex, um, uh, uh, but comprehensive description of the mother. It's actually one of three books. Each book is thicker than the last book. This is no small undertaking discovering the mother. So I haven't read through the whole book because this is not really, I don't feel like I'm quite old enough to get some of the writings. That's kind of how I feel with Steiner too. Like it's one of those things where maybe once I'm 40, I will be able to internalize it a little better. However, I do understand the concept of the mother. I watch a lot of lectures about it. I have I've had many different experiences with the earthly mother that are shocking in and of themselves. So that is to say I know the mother and the mother knows me, but as far as like being able to regurgitate content, and I don't have that type of, I don't research like that. That's not what I do. I want to understand the information so I can pass it on to somebody else and then they can research what's interesting to them. So that being said, again, here's the website ourspirit.net .files.wordpress.com. You can literally go to our spirit, um it's our spirit net. If you go to ourspirit.com, you will literally find these books, these three books, plus a bunch of other books, plus a bunch of stuff you never even knew about the mother or anybody else in these particular files. So um I'm just going to go through this because I want to talk about, I've talked about this before, but I haven't been able to uh have a comprehensive explanation because it is such a complex subject. So I'm just going to go through this a little bit, right? So their chapters are called seals. That's very interesting. This is it's it. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's an esoteric book, but it's kind of esoteric. So, all right. So let's just look at the. So let me start with the. No, let's start with the seal, the third seal. The mother. Okay, so when you talk about the mother, the daughter, the Christo Sophia and the Holy Sophia, as opposed to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, um, each level, and the Most High could be arranged like this too, but um we don't have the information on that, but we do have right here the information on how the mother is arranged, right? Okay, so we're looking at a third seal here. So the mother has four parts. Each has four parts. These are, they call them the 12 labors of love. And this is, each of these chapters describes a different aspect of the Holy Sophia, the Crystal Sophia, the Trinosophia. You know what I mean? So that's why I use all the terms. I just call them mother. I use them interchangeably because they're all one. They're separate and all one, just like the Father. Okay. So under the mother, you have Sophia as the creatrix, Sophia as the mother of all, Sophia as the goddess of wisdom, and Sophia as the goddess of nature. That's under the hierarchy of the mother, of the Trinosophia. Then you have the daughter, which is the Christosophia, okay? The just like the Christ, you have a Christosophia. And that's Sophia as the goddess of beauty, Sophia as the cosmic virgin, Sophia as the bride, and Sophia as the beloved, okay? Then you have the Holy Sophia, which is similar to the Holy Ghost, which is in the male Trinity, and the Holy Spirit. This will be the Holy Sophia as a part of the female Trinity. So I think, again, just like you have a bunch of different trinities going on, and I think that they have confused that on purpose. So I actually think that there's a masculine trinity, there's a feminine trinity, and then there's a masculine slash feminine trinity with the mother, the father, the mother, and the son, or the creation, which is us. And then you have one that's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Then you have one that's the Mother, the Christos Sophia, and the Holy Sophia, the Holy Spirit. Okay. So then you have the Holy Sophia, which is Sophia as the goddess of love, Sophia as the mother of God, Sophia as the queen of heaven, and Sophia as the most holy Trinosophia, which is a whole different set of things, right? So um I just wanted to discuss that because I have had some people ask me, what is how would you break this down, and I just get to stumbling because it is a very, like I said, complex subject, because each 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 part of the mother has different parts, different offices. The same way I describe the government, I would describe the father's realm as he governs, is the same way I would describe the mother's realm as she governs. But less is known and understood about the mother's realm because they have totally erased the mother, and the Holy Trinosophia from history. So you have to look really, really hard to find any mention of her. And the mentions of her, you have to again be sort of esoteric in nature to understand them. And then when you get into anthroposophy, they kind of like don't really want to talk about Steiner's work, and then a lot of his stuff is still in German, so you have to do that translation thing. So it's a whole lot that is just unknown about the mother, whereas we do have a little bit more information about the father and about Yahweh Shai, how he operates. A little bit, but still I don't think even as much. So now I want to go back up one step to the Temple of Wisdom. The Temple of Wisdom has 7 pillars, and this is a sort of, I would describe it as a compilation of all the different aspects of the Holy Mother that are divided into pillars, on which the capstone, which I would probably say is the Father, stands. Okay. I just wanted to point that out too. Um, all right, so here we have I don't know how to describe this, but I will just read it. All right, I'm gonna start on the side of the others, the side of the Sophia. So you have Mary of Jerusalem, which is the original Eve. Then you have Mary Magdalene. Then you have Mary of Bethany. Then you have Mary of Nazareth, which is Eve Cadmon. Then you have Sophia, the being of wisdom who descended through the hierarchies to become human by overlighting Mary. Then you have the wisdom body of Zarathustra, transformed by Jesus and transmitted to Mary before his baptism. Then you have an immaculate body brought by the beings of wisdom to Mary, or Eve, who is combined with the Eve Kadmon. Then you have the Holy Sophia working through the Mary Sophia personally. Then you have the Mother Goddess through the Divine Feminine Trinity. So when they say Mary, they mean literally, um, they mean it's there's so many Marys. There's Mary, who is the mother of the Christ. Then there's Mary Magdalene, who is the bride of the Christ. Okay. Then, and I hope I'm getting this all right. Like I said, again, I don't know everything about this. It's quite confusing, and I just try to experience Sophia and not go into all of this academics about it because, again, it's quite confusing. Okay, so then on the side of the Christ, you have Saint John, which is Lazarus raised. You have Joseph of Arimathea, who caught the blood of Christ. Then you have Nicodemus, who saw the crucifixion in a dreamlike state. Then you have Longinus the centurion, who pierced the side of Christ. Then the collective beings working with St. John, which is Lazarus raised. You have John the Baptist after his death, which is the original Adam. Um, Yes. Then you have the group soul of the apostles merged with John the Baptist. And you have the other witnesses who are Zara, can't even say the name. The ego of Zarathustra, overlighting the events. The Buddha, which is the star of Bethlehem, overlighting the events. And the Archangel Michael, the countenance of Christ. Also, the Archangel Michael is the Holy Ghost. Okay. So then you have at the bottom here, Christ joins Mary Sophia to St. John under the cross as mother and son. And this is the archetypal image of the Sophia Christos, which is these two circles that are overlapped. Um, and I think this is just like a description of how we go from the cross to this little overlapped picture, right? Okay, so I'm going to talk about this also briefly. It's again one of those things that's kind of very difficult. So okay, so we have here a timeline of human development. Okay. And so there's actually four different stages of human development. And according to this chart, we haven't gotten to the last stage. However, I I I don't want to say I disagree, but I think that we are much closer to this last part than 4,200 years, in my opinion, just based on what we are doing to speed up the timeline. So again, when people make their do their descriptions of these things, it's really difficult to account for human activity. And so we are out there literally speeding up the timeline. So where it was supposed to be the same amount of time as the first set of timeline, we are out there literally pushing the envelope trying to force the timeline to go faster. And there's no way to account for that when you are researching, meaning you don't know every single group of people. You don't know what they're doing. They have no idea. These people have no idea what we're doing. They don't know anything. They don't know that we're out here trying to speed the timeline up, and yet we are out here trying to speed the timeline up. Therefore, I just wanted to address that before I started to address this. So these are also like you would describe the seasons of your youth. So from 0 to 21, and I'll use that description because it's a little bit easier. From 0 to 21, you have your bodily development. This is how we also in our bodies are. So you have your physical body, your etheric body, and your astral body. And the Sophia seen by the humans, which is at the bottom, is the Theosophia, Isis. Then from age 21 to 42, you have the soul development, which is the sentient soul, the individual mind soul, and the consciousness soul. And in this stage of development with you in humanity, you have the Philosophia. But at age 21, you have the mystery of Golgotha, which is when uh basically Jesus, Yahweh Shai died on the cross. That's the mystery of Golgotha, okay? And rose from the dead. That is in from at 21. Okay, so then the third stage of the Holy Sophia's development is spiritual development, which is spirit self, life spirit, and spirit man, which we discussed back on this chart right here. And that's what I wanted to bring up because you can see those three egos. We have to conquer those three egos before we can get to this last stage of the Holy Sophia's development, which is the Anthroposophia. And typically that starts you start to understand that when you turn 42. Obviously, I'm not 42, so I sort of that's why I take this information, I internalize it, but I know that as in some ways I'm not quite at the age where I can confidently describe these things just based on this sort of understanding of how it works. And then at a time after you turn 63, you get the most holy Trinosophia. And technically, we have not come into that age period, because again they say that's supposed to be in 4200, and that's the sixth epic spirit self, and we have not gotten that far in human development. However, we are pushing the envelope, we are moving fast, we're moving it much faster than they anticipated, and I think that we could see the most holy Trina Sophia in our we could see that spirit emerge. That is entirely possible. Okay, so this is the last, I think this is the last one I want to discuss. And I'm going to try and make this as quick as I can. I know this video is getting long, but this is a very complicated subject again. And, if you have to break it up, come back. It's a very complicated subject. So, Saturn. So these are the planetary incarnations of Earth. So, as many of you know, or you will know, or you soon to know, or you didn't know, um, this Earth that we're on is like the fourth incarnation of Earth. So the first Earth was Saturn, and that's where we developed. Earth was given warmth, and that was the beginnings of humanity's physical body, and that's where time began. Okay, so then you have the sun, which is gas, right? Which is warmth, okay? And then gas. And so the sun is the second incarnation of Earth, and the etheric body was given to us in that incarnation. And just zoom in a little bit. Okay. And so then you have the moon, which is the third incarnation, which is liquid, dreaming consciousness, and animal is ruled by that. And this is where the angels pass through their human stage. So after they come off Earth, they go to the moon to pass through their human stage, and then on to the next. So here we are at the fourth incarnation of the Earth, right? And so we have on the side here they describe the major epics. They have the post-Atlantean epics, and then they have the major characteristics of the post-Atlantean, which, if you will notice, are actually the zodiacs. Okay, so um, and that's not by a coincidence. This is what we're going through now because we're on the zodiac as a result of that. Again, back to this chart here. um the group soul, us being a part of this group soul instead of the individual I am, which we all are a part of the group soul. Is That's not something that you just wake up and I'm not a part of a group soul anymore. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, so the next incarnation of the earth is Jupiter. So these are the cycles, okay? So the next incarnation is the Jupiter, which is imagination, the new Jerusalem in the spirit self. Then you have Venus, which is inspiration, which is the life spirit, or the Buddhi. And then you have the intuition, which is the spirit man, Atman, and that's the Sophia Christos union. So we haven't even, like, we're trying to move things along, speed up the timeline, but we still, as humanity, we still have many incarnations to go before we before this human a cycle is done. Now that doesn't mean everybody's going to come back as the same way. There's a lot of factors, blah blah blah, but I just say this to say somehow it has been thought that somewhere amongst these four incarnations, we're on the fourth incarnations, that there's something under the sun that the Most High doesn't know. even though we have our next three incarnations right here on the chart, the next three incarnation cycles are here on the chart. Somehow there's something in this incarnation cycle that the Most High doesn't know, He won't approve of, it's witchcraft, or whatever the case may be. That is one of the most insane things I have ever heard in my whole life. I just want people to think about that. When they're doing their research and their study, there's no possible way that anything could happen that the Most High doesn't know when He has our next three incarnation cycles set up. They're literally there and ready to go. Like, this is not like uh you know the Most High is fumbling around in the dark trying to figure out what humanity is going to do next. No, now we again, through our energy and our effort, petition the Most High, ask Him to do this, ask Him to do that. All of that is fine and well, but I just want people to understand that we're not even close to being done as a race of humans. So when we say we have to reign over the kingdom, we have three whole incarnation cycles we have to make it through in our reign. And so, like, if you are like not willing to know how to use every tool in your toolbox, how can you possibly reign over Jupiter or Venus or Vulcan? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. It's almost like people don't understand that this incarnation cycle is not even our last incarnation cycle. This might be the last incarnation cycle on this earth, but this is not the last incarnation cycle because we have three whole separate cycles of evolution to go through. So this is why people don't want you to think about your past lives and all that stuff, because if you think about who you are in the past all the way back to your the beginning of time, then you have to think about who you are at the end of time. There's a something to look forward to. So, and there is something to look forward to that's beyond just the kingdom. It's we have Jupiter, we have Venus, we have Vulcan, those incarnations that still have to be addressed. And if we have not ascended, then those potential future incarnation cycles will have to go without the knowledge that we obtained here in this incarnation cycle. So it's best to, again, like I say, get as much knowledge as you can so that you can be helpful to the human life, the group soul spirit that's going to be left behind, that's going to need the assistance of us as angels to help it pass through the cycle. Okay. Or additionally, this could be where we're going to. There's a lot of different ways to interpret this, and I just thought about that. I don't want to limit it to we have different incarnation cycles as humans, but literally, like, we could be going to Jupiter. That could be our literal next stop on this incarnation cycle. We need to learn from the brothers in Jupiter. We need to learn from the brothers in Venus. We need to learn from the brothers in Vulcan. We have a lot of work to do. The point of the matter is, we have a lot of work to do, and we don't have time to turn around or look back or second guess our research and whatever. And like I said, this stuff is so difficult to explain. I never wanted to explain it. I always wanted someone else to explain it because I don't even think I did a good job. Like, I haven't even scratched the surface on my understanding because I have a personal understanding, but there's no way I can put it all in one video because it's just a mess. So I mean, not a mess, but it's just a lot. But I wanted to connect this concept of the three the mother, the daughter, and the Holy Sophia to the Druids, because clearly they have a big one, a little one, and then one in the middle. So the Trinosophia is not, and the reason why I say it's specifically related to this circle is because everything about the mother is highly hidden within the Druids. Even I found they talk about the Druidesses in this book, and I'm going to talk about that in another lesson because I believe that is the order of Zedeketelbob. I was looking for the priestesshood of Zedeketelbob and Shum, and I do believe it is the Druidesses. And so I'm going to talk about that in another video. I'm just trying to get through this first and this sort of like introduction to the Holy Trinosophia, but you still have to go and do your own research research. You have to read some of the anthroposophical works. You have to go out and experience the mother however you can. You have to learn and research about the mother. And the more you know about the herbs, the stones, the different kinds of natural magic and things you can do, that's all stuff that needs to be done, and we, again, we don't have time for all of this arguing and bickering and this and that. We really need to be out here figuring out how to reach the Holy Sophia, like how to conceptualize her, because there's a lot of steps left to go. Again, there's a lot of steps, not here. There's a lot of steps left to go, a lot of incarnation cycles. Furthermore, there's a lot of a whole realm of the Holy Sophia we have access to, we don't even know how to use, because nobody has ever told you that the Holy Sophia, the mother, is has 12 different faces. Basically, they say 12 labors of love, but that she has 12 different faces, like the 12 tribes. 12 shows up over and over again. She has 12 different faces, 7 pillars and 12 faces. And if you don't know, if you have to get permission before you go talk to one face on one pillar, you're never going to get to the next, you're never going to get to experience the significance of the Holy Trinosophia. You're just not going to. And she is to be experienced. She is not to be put into somebody's book and you can only find her in a book. That's just so offensive to me. Like, I know it's offensive to the mother, but it's extremely offensive to me, because having experienced her directly myself, to say that you can find everything you need to know about the Holy Mother in a book is ridiculous. So, anywho, I hope any of this made any sense. I know that it's gone on too long, but I'm sure there's more information that will come out, and I'll be able to link it to the Holy Trinosophia. But I just wanted to do this kind of like as an introduction to give you an idea of where you can start researching, the Holy Mother, and where you can, just begin to experience her in all her many faces, and all the angels. I'm sure those angels, in I know this ties to the Air Kadeshi. Um I just have to do this, the work with the father, the work with the astrology. I can do that at will, but the work with the mother has to be done when she says. There's no other way around it. But I can tell you, I'm fairly certain those Air Kadeshi tie exactly to those faces. And I just haven't, again, I haven't been able to make that connection yet. But if someone else does, please share that with me. I would love to discuss that further. So, the spirits who are here with us, you're invited to go in peace. My beloved viewers, you're invited to be at peace. And always remember, the Most High is your peace. Shalom, everyone.